Hello and welcome to another edition of TesterSpeak, and I'm your host Brijesh Deb. Today with me I have somebody who I have been greatly influenced because of his love for testing and his love for technology. He's someone who likes to try out new things and demonstrate the use of those new tools and techniques in a very different fashion. I've been really inspired by his learning ability and the ability to make people laugh at the same time. With great pleasure, I would like to welcome to the show Rahul Parwal. Welcome, Rahul.
Thank you, Brijesh. Thanks for the wonderful introduction. How are
How are
you?
you? I am good. I'm good. Thank you. Thank you so much. How are you?
I am also amazing. I'm awesome. I'm doing great.
Yes, you are awesome indeed. That's what I was trying to tell the audience that you're awesome guy. I find you very, very inspiring in a lot of ways. And I would like to, share the inspiration to the rest of the world. And that's the reason why we are doing this session. So, without any further ado, I would like to get started with this interview. So, can you tell us a little bit about your journey as a tester? How did you get started?
Okay, that's an interesting question. And before I start telling you about my journey as a tester, I wanted to share a thing which I always believe in while doing anything, while approaching anything, and that's the concept of synchro destiny. And by synchro destiny, I mean that the little coincidences that happen in our life, they are generally a signal from our life of something rather big and big possibility in the future. And I received a lot of coincidences again and again from my life. Then I realized that finally I want to be into testing. Uh, when I was in college, in my college days, I was doing a. I'm one second. When I was in my college, I was a computer science student, and generally, like the expectation from a computer science engineer is that they generally become a software developers and uh, like more into a software development related roles. And I was somehow like I attended some workshops and all, and I got really fascinated by ethical hacking, and I really loved the concept of ethical hacking. And then I used to search that where I could pursue like ethical hacking in a detailed fashion and all. And in my final year, I like did a complete course on ethical hacking and all. And after that, my final year project, the title of my final year project was penetration testing.
Okay, cool.
So that was my first introduction of the involvement with testing. That after learning so much of ethical hacking, I created a tool to test, and that was a penetration testing tool. And after that, like I got placed, and like I was waiting for my joining to come in from the company. And at that time, like one of my cousin brother, like he told me that till the time you are at home, why don't you join us? They had some like a book publishing house where they used to work, and they used to tell me that can you do this like a technical editing kind of job? And I said like I can take this up till the time I'm waiting and I have nothing to do. So I started with that, and when I went there, like it was more of a highly collaborative job because we used to develop books for the students, and the major focus was to create the content in such a way that the student can understand it better, to simplify it or to think about the end user or the end student experience. So that's what how like I used to say, like simplify things, and I used to summarize. So even like today, if you see, like I put a lot of summaries and all these things. So all this comes from that time. And it was a work where like a lot of quality has to be put in because it was a field related with education. So that time I actually realized what is the importance of quality education, and or per se right education, and how quality can impact the future of the world. So that was my second instinct with something like related to quality or testing and collaboration. And after that, I went and I joined Capgemini, and in Capgemini, I was trained as a .NET developer. So finally, like after all this, now like I was thinking that okay, now I can become a developer, and I'll now develop applications and all. And I was so focused and serious about that. And then I studied, and they have some exams, and like there is a pattern for the fresher level and entry level employees. So I secured first rank into the entire .NET batch. So I was like at the peak of the beginner developers and all those things. And after that, like uh, I was waiting for a project. I was hoping that I will get a good project because I topped, and I was the first among I think 300 or some number of employees. And I got the first project, and that project was actually a testing project. And my role was to go into that testing project and do a development for their processes and operations. So it was more of a automation, do automation using your development skills for this testing account. And it was more into a operation or a process related automation, like Excel macros and all those kind of things. And I even developed an application on .NET. So during that time also, it was my luck or something, like I used to be surrounded by all the managers and senior folks who were from the testing space, and they used to talk about testing and all, and I used to get so much insight. So my practical introduction with testing started with the testing leaderships only. So that was how I got involved with testing. And then after an year, I got an opportunity from the same account that we want you to contribute to our testing project, and maybe you can join us as a test member. And then I thought to give that a chance, because life in every area, like it was giving me and putting me into this testing area and testing field, and I thought to give it a try, and it was awesome. I mean, when I started doing testing, like one thing that I felt was that this thing is coming naturally to me. Like I don't have to work really that hard, which I was doing into the development. This was something which was coming inherently from me, and the critical thinking and all these aspects which we are required from a tester, like they were there with me like from my childhood, because I used to be like so much fascinated about mythology, or maybe the small things of cricket, or history, and also I used to be I want always liked the depth of the knowledge, and testing gave me. So that was awesome, and I personally feel that I never chose testing. Testing chose me. So that's how I feel.
Well, that is incredible, and I'm sure that a lot of people do not know about things like synchro destiny, or somebody could have actually had a stint with development and then come to testing, and then you've done some publishing work. You've built your own tools, especially for penetration testing. Well, that is quite big, actually, a big revelation, Rahul. I mean, people will now chase you more. so be ready for that. Well, first thing is,
Okay.
I want to understand. Okay, so you were fascinated by ethical hacking, and then you went ahead and built the tool and things like that. So, what is it in ethical hacking that inspired you so much that you actually went ahead and built a tool?
Okay. So first thing, when I started doing this ethical hacking course, so I should thank my instructor. I mean, Ashutosh and Vimal Daga. So they were really awesome, and they gave they used to talk about the core of the technologies, and how there are these small aspects which people generally overlook, and those can be penetrated, and so how security is such an inherent human desire, and how we all want this security and safety, we want it for ourselves also, but we also want it in our this digital world. So this was a very important need, and I still feel that even today, like I did that course 5 years back, but even today I feel that security is often overlooked, or people don't give that much importance to it how it should be getting, because in today's world, practically, if you see in this COVID, everything is online. everything is happening digitally. Like even you order your groceries also online, and you're getting that. So I think security is one critical aspect, I think, which people are going to will have to look forward, or otherwise like maybe they have to learn some lessons and then look forward to it. But security is really critical, and that's why I wanted to build a tool. And I built a tool that used to that did the penetration testing of my college website and the college network. And I even provided them with some wonderful reports, like how my tools are giving them some analysis, and then they did some actionable work on that. So that was something nice.
So you still, I believe you still own that tool. Do you have any plans as such of expanding the tool and taking it a little further? Did you think about it?
Yes, I thought about that. I wanted to develop it as a kind of a product, but I think over the time, like I just because it was purely on a Linux-based track and Linux-based and Python-based, and somehow I lost that track. But right now, like still like life keeps on giving you chances, so I am still learning Linux. I am a big fan of that, and also Python. So maybe I'll try to extend that. But yeah, I want to do that. Yes.
Yeah, the testing world, in fact, the entire world would benefit from such a tool, is what I believe. And knowing the fact that you have been you have re-energized yourself with Python learning of late. I think that's a very good idea, and that's the reason why it just came to my mind, because the moment you said that, okay, you've done some Linux Python work and you're learning Python now, I can see you putting out those
Yes.
summaries that are really wonderful. And I'm going to come to that in a bit about your summaries.
Okay.
And so when you had this stint with Capgemini, where you learned testing, you went in as a developer into a testing project and then learned about testing concepts and all that. So from that time till now, do you see that there has been a change in the thought process of testers? Do you think that people, the new generation of testers, is sort of getting things a little more easier than what you got?
I'm sorry, Brijesh, I just missed the last part of your question.
Can you still hear me? Can you still hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. I can hear you.
So what I was asking you is do you think the new generation of testers has got it a little easier compared to what you got in terms of the kind of effort that they have to put in to learn and things like that?
Yes, I mean, how I feel it is that something, if I like look back and if I see back like 3-4 years back when I started this testing engagement with Capgemini, so I felt that I used to like lack this social interaction. I was not a social tester. Now I'm a very much a social tester, and I did not used to like go into communities and all. I started doing that from this year, I think 2020, and this COVID, thankfully, like it made me come into LinkedIn, and then I started posting, and I started becoming in love with that. And I see a great amount of knowledge and like amazing things on testing that is available now. But at my time, like it was I think things would have been available, but like my major focus was more on the automation, because we all make mistakes and then we learn from them, and then we evolve. So that's how my journey also began, because when I started with testing, I used to hear that testing is going to be no more. I mean, because it was a agile project, it was an agile project, and I heard this from like senior folks. I mean, not your like some junior folks. I used to hear that you have joined us. You are a developer. You have joined us in the testing project, but you are not a tester, because in agile nobody is a tester, and we don't need a tester. And and we need multi-skilled people who are developers and can do testing. So you just learn it out, but it's more of a development. And maybe after 2 years there won't be any testers. So I used to feel like hell scared as a fresher that I am going into a field which is not going to be there in next 2 years, and I better be very good at this automation part and the development part and all. So that was a fear like that I got that time. But I think today, when I see initiatives by you, when I see good content, and I think like a lot of promising members from this our testing community, they're putting out really good mythbusters out, and like there is a lot of discussion and debate around this. So that's really helpful. But I think this is only helpful if one like comes to these platforms and they learn and engage. So that willingness and that curiosity is very much important to know about testing.
Yeah. So that brings me to a couple of interesting points. Number one is, I have seen testing evolve over the last 2 decades. I've seen testers evolve over the last 2 decades, and I heard the same story like you when I joined testing. The testing is going to be no more in a few years' time. So this is not something new. Okay, so everybody hears this, and surprisingly, every generation of testers hears this from old folks that testing is going to be no more, and then suddenly they advise their next generation testing is going to be no more. But testing is there. Okay, it's not going
Yes.
anywhere. You and I,
Yes.
through our experience, have realized that, and people who start getting involved with the craft will know that testing is not going anywhere. So that is a big myth to be burst right there. The second thing is you spoke about platforms and opportunities. So when I look back in my towards the beginning of my career, we did not have all these tools. We all started with books, reading books, and one of the books that was prescribed as a part of our syllabus was Software Engineering by Roger Pressman, which spoke about black box testing and white box testing and things like that. And that's where we got a little bit of idea. And then when we joined our organizations, that time also people used to talk about those books. And then slowly, when we started learning, when we started getting a little deeper into understanding testing, then I came across books from James Bach, books from Jerry Weinberg, and that's when I saw, oh, testing is not just limited to some of the things that we are taught in our academics. It is much more, and people have been talking about it. Okay, people are talking about people doing some wonderful things, and in the last 10-12 years, I've started following these great leaders, and thankfully today we are all, thanks to technology, we are all able to instantly message them and get a response back from them. I mean, they are such a huge source of inspiration that they're always around you, and if you need, you can just reach out and do that. And my take on the question that I asked you is, today's testers, the new generation of testers, gets it a lot more easier compared to what we got, because they have access to all this. But like you said, you made a very good point. The willingness to learn should be there. The willingness to go out, explore, learn, that has to be there. Otherwise, it's of no use. And I was talking to somebody in the group yesterday, and I just mentioned that it is important for us to be willing to experiment with things. Like, for example, you did. Okay, you went ahead and built that tool for yourself. You went into a publishing house, spent some time there. That experimentation, that willingness to try something new is very important. And thank you, Rahul, for giving that message through your journey, that how important it is to shape up worlds. Now that brings me to something really interesting. What I have seen you do is, I'm going to come to the testing part a little later, but I'm a little curious about this one, so I'm going to ask this first. Okay, so I have seen you create summaries, whether it is a workshop session, whether it is a webinar, whether it is a blog post, or whether it is an interview or whatever. You are very good in summarizing this. How did you acquire this skill?
Okay, I I acquired this skill from like my grandfather. He was the greatest summary man I have ever seen. Uh, he used to attend meetings. He used to attend conferences of his domain, his areas, and like he is a member of a lot of communities and all. And he used to summarize, and his level of summary was so detailed and precise that if my grandfather would meet you and if he would click a photograph with you, then he'll take a hard copy out of that. He'll put the date and time. He'll put what memories and what discussions we did at that time, you and my grandfather, and he'll send that to you, or he'll send that to me, and he'll say that share it with Brijesh. And he always used to emphasize that okay, you attended this, or you are reading this book, but what's the key takeaway? Like, what's the key takeaway? Can you give me? Can you share it with others? And do you write? So he had a lot of focus, and he gave a lot of focus towards reading and writing. And he said that once you'll start writing, you will start like exploring yourself. You will maybe uncover some hidden dimensions that you have. So that's something I learned from him. And good part is that with all these summaries which I am writing, I'm still writing less than my grandfather. He's even writing more today. I mean, so that's something I cannot take any credit. Like the whole credit goes to my grandfather.
Well, I think you are doing a fantastic job, and I'll tell you why I asked you this question. Because what I have personally gained from your summaries, I want to share this with the audience. Is through your summaries, like you said, when you try and summarize, you tend to unearth a lot of hidden dimensions. And
Yes.
in testing, it is very important that you look for those hidden dimensions. When we talk
Yes.
about like exploratory testing, especially, you are looking for the unknown, and that
Yes.
unknown comes from these sources pretty easily, because when you summarize and you go over it and you share that summary, you hear different perspectives, and you then are able to say, okay, maybe I missed this part, maybe I should try something here. So that is of a great importance to us as testers. And that's
Yes.
the reason why I want to hear about your source of inspiration, because your summaries have been a great source of inspiration to me, and is helping me become a better tester. Okay, so I
Ah,
want to tell you this upfront, and I'm sure other testers are also benefiting from it. Now, something else I have also noticed with you is your love for mind maps. Okay.
yeah.
Now, mind map is something that I totally love. I've been doing it for so many
Mm.
years now. Okay, I
Mm.
used to do it on with pen and paper, and I still prefer that than some of the tools that are available. Uh, so, how did you get started with mind maps, and what have you learned so far? Okay, Rahul, welcome back after the technical glitch. I hope we have resolved that. I hope you can
Yes.
hear me well.
Yes, Brijesh, I can hear you now.
Okay, so before heading into the technical glitch, I was just asking you about something that I have noticed you do really well, and that is to do with mind maps. I have seen you create some amazing mind maps. So, how did you get started, and what's the motivation behind it?
Okay, so like to talk, I want to talk about the motivation, like why mind map made me so much like attracted to them. Like I really loved mind maps and mind mapping. And the reason for that is my love for complex concepts like history, mythology, Mahabharata, and documentaries, and like I'm a life learner basically, and I like to convey like lessons from life and all those things. And sometimes like such things become like really complicated to explain to everybody. And when the first time like I saw mind maps, I think I saw from Nagesh's mind map. Then like I felt like okay, this is like a tool. This is such an awesome tool, and this is something like which I should do, and why I am not doing that. And then I got to know that there are popular tools associated with this mind map, like for doing this mind mapping. which makes it more easier. So then like I started creating some mind maps, and my initial mind maps were not some technical mind maps. They were more like on some kind of a Mahabharata concepts, or like a war perspective, which I wanted to explain to my young brothers and sisters. So I created that, and I used to show them, and they used to love it. Like they used to say that this visualization and this representation is so appealing to us, and now we understand the real stories that would have happened. So from that, like I started with this mind mapping, and I even feel that now this has given a dimension to my professional life also. And why I am saying that is because if we talk about any profession in this world, then there are two kind of arts that are generally associated with any profession. One is the art of conceiving. So the art used for conceiving the knowledge associated with the profession, and another is the art of projection. That is the art of projecting. The famous writer, Bollywood writer Salim Khan once said that he had the art of conceiving the role better than Dilip Kumar. He could conceive a role better than Amitabh Bachchan, but he lacked the art of projection. He could not project. Similarly, like if we talk about Amitabh Bachchan, the popular actor, he is a physically weak person, like not that strong in his real life. I'm talking about. He has been ill a lot of times. There is like he has dealt with issues with his health and all. But when he comes on the screen and the toughness he projects on the screen, it looks like he means business. It looks like he is talking something serious. And Amitabh Bachchan has the real art of projection. With mind mapping, like I started feeling that my art of conceiving of the software which I already had, and has got an added skill, which is the art of projection. Now I could even project whatever I could conceive through my inherent skills, my inherent talent, and now I could project that. So like that actually gave me a new dimension to my professional life, and I personally feel that this is a must know skill for every profession, and it's a must know skill for like even a student and a school going kid. So I really like love this thing.
Oh, absolutely. I so agree with you because I use mind maps. I've been using mind maps for a long time. I started using them many years ago with just a pen and paper, and now there are brilliant tools to do that. However, I still prefer the pen and paper way, and because that lets me express myself better.
Yes.
Uh, you're absolutely right. So when I talk about testing, when I have to look at the product backlog, list down a summary of what I've understood, put my understanding down, or put the list of gaps that I'm seeing in the requirements. I do it like that, and then I ask a lot of questions. I categorize my questions into 5W1H, which I also presented in
Yes.
a conference. Categorize my thoughts like that. That helps me build a good test strategy. That helps me build a good test plan. That helps me with test ideas. It also helps me in summarizing what tests I have run and what are my results. It's just a snapshot. Okay, I may not get into a detailed report, but if somebody asks me a snapshot of what have I done, then I can just present the mind map and it'll be clear to them. So it is some sort of a precursor to my reports as well. So it has helped me through the product testing life cycle. It's a great tool, and I think more and more people are adopting it. I see you do some beautiful things with that. You bring in stories, you bring in summaries. Uh, you are now attending a Python course, and almost every day we get to see a summary of what you have learned during the day, which is wonderful. Which is, I think, this is a great tool that testers of the current generation can use or need
Yes.
to learn. Not just the current generation, people from the past generations as well. If
Yes.
they are not using it, I think they should start using it. So,
Yes.
so I'll give you a big thumbs up on that one.
Thank
That,
you.
that that's something really good. Now, let me ask you something. Before we lost the audio, I had spoken to you of something about the fact that I'll come to testing later. So this is the time when I come to the
Okay.
testing. And I want to understand from you, because you are, you have about 3.5-4 years of experience, if I'm not wrong.
Yes.
Around that.
Yes, 3.5 years.
3.5 years of experience, and in this 3.5 years of experience, you have, through your expertise of building a penetration tool or whatever, and have got insights into test automation and things. However, I want to know from you, what is the thought process that goes behind, things like test design? How do you think of a test design? How do you think of it from an automation perspective? What thoughts go behind that? Is it just limited to regression testing, or you try and do more things with it?
Okay, so when we talk about like test designing, so I think that's a very specialized craft, and there is a lot of thought process associated behind designing of the part of the test. Now, how I see automation helping me with this test designing is that I try to bucket up some scenarios, like for example, data-driven testing, or like where bulk amount of data can be tested through automation, or maybe multiple platforms need to be tested, or like a kind of a scaled setup needs to be tested. So there, like I try to use more of a automation. I try to visualize that, okay, these are the areas particularly which I can target more through this automation, and there's some kind of a solution that I have provided, so that after doing that, I could get some free time for my exploratory testing and the actual testing part and actual analyzing of the software. And from that part only, I get like more inputs that, okay, what more we could actually check and what actually needs to be automated. So essentially, I mean, automation does not drive my testing, the testing drives my automation.
Okay, yeah, that's a good way of putting it. That's a good way of putting it. I really like the fact that you've put it across this way, because for me as well, I find it very restricted when people limit their thought about automation to regression testing, or say smoke or sanity. Automation is much beyond that. You gave a good example of test data, and that's where a lot of automation can be used. You can use code to write or generate a lot of test data, and especially in situations where there is heavy usage, or you see it scaling up, or maybe we were discussing in the past something to do with localization testing. You have different scenarios and you have different inputs going in, so a lot of test data will be required. That's one aspect of it. The other aspect of it is processing that information so that you could carry out analysis further on that, and that processing part also can be done by writing some code where you provide some structure to the output, or to the results that you obtained. Now, it is easier to analyze structured data rather than analyzing unstructured data, because what you are trying to derive is relevant information out of it, and that's where automation can help you in structuring that. Automation can also help you in reporting when it comes to visualization, and you can create nice charts and nice graphs and dashboards, and you will need automation for it. So to think that automation is only helpful in regression testing, or maybe a little bit in smoke and sanity testing, that's a very limited view of automation, in my opinion. And I think you've given a great message in saying that, okay, you use automation to drive your testing, which is a great message. It should not be the other way around. Okay, so talking on the same subject. Sorry, go ahead, please.
Yeah, I was saying that I mean, we should use machines and like this automation tool and the computing for doing tasks which they are best at, and we should utilize the human potential to do the task which humans are best at. So if we are going to do the vice versa, I mean, then there are going to be catastrophic results. For example, if we will give all the thinking part also to the machine, then that's also bad, that's worse. And if we will take all the like repetitive tasks for us and not even give anything to the machine, then that's also an extreme end. So I think we have to know what is the capability and best part of both the worlds, and then we have to combine and mix and match.
I think we both might want to live for that day when machines can actually start thinking.
Yeah. I was having this debate with one of my friends, and he said that machines can think, and machines can do testing, and machines can do automation. And I told him that that is only possible when maybe you will start developing software for the machine, because till the time you are developing software for the humans, you will need humans to test them and fix them and provide the right quality which humans need.
Well, to be very honest, machines can think is one of the funniest things that I ever heard, and I heard it when I was talking to some colleagues who we were talking about AI and stuff like that. And I was like, okay, machines can think. That's something interesting. And how do they, when you are thinking, you sort of ask a lot of questions, right? Whether it is within your head or outside, you ask a lot of questions.
Yes.
So my question to that gentleman was, okay, so if machines can think, why don't they ask questions?
Yes.
You know, so and even if they do, why can't you make sense out of those questions, right? So, do you still hear me? Do you still hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. I heard some disturbance in between, but I think it's okay now. All right. So moving further, I want to ask you this: that okay, you've explained the automation part of it. Now, how do you tie this whole piece together? Say, for example, your skill as somebody who can do great mind maps, somebody who can do great summaries, to somebody who can think differently in terms of automation. How do you tie all of this together and package it for a tester saying, okay, this is what is a ready-made package for you to be a good tester?
Okay, so first thing that I feel is that if somebody wants to really be a good tester, I think the first step towards it is acceptance. That I want to be a good tester. I mean, until and unless you don't accept this, because it took me a lot of time and like internal introspection to understand that, okay, I practically know very less testing, maybe a shallow testing, and I need to really improve on that. And after that, I could actually start improving on that. So I think first step towards improvement is acceptance, because once you accept it, then I think things start coming naturally, and like your mind will not block the things. Otherwise, like you will be into a block situation. So first part is that. Second part is that these skills of, for example, mind mapping is just a tool, but the skills of projection or the skills of communication, these are, I think, very much essential if you want to be into a field of testing, and if you want to be in a field where you are paid to ask questions and all that. So these things should like come naturally to you. You should be a natural communicator, and you should not be hesitant to ask questions, because I think that's one thing that is going to refine your skill, that is going to refine your profession. Third part is that which I personally do is that I spend a lot of time with like good members or good communities, for example in TTC, or for example like in meetups and all, and I practically get a infinite view of like things which I could have never reached. I used to see only the like top level view of the ocean, but once I like started interacting with the other fellows who have been to the bottom and who have seen the entire different world and the entire universe there, I practically learn a lot from them, and I practically get a lot from them. So I would suggest that please use these platforms. I mean, technology is so much evolving, and I think everything is at your disposal. Like you just have to press a button. I mean, it would have been very difficult if like 20 years back or 30 years back, or like maybe 100 years back, like if people wanted to gain something, it was very difficult. But today, like it's easily available. Even like the cost is very low, and I mean, you just have to accept that you have to do. and then I think the whole world will come to you.
Well, excellent points made there, and I'm sure especially the youngsters who are starting their careers into testing now will benefit a lot from that advice. Having said that, a lot of us who are already having a lot of experience will also benefit from that. Uh, I, I especially like the fact as to how you explained the importance of these communities and these meetups. And since we are talking on a TTC show, I can talk a little bit about TTC itself.
Yes.
The idea was obviously to give a platform to people to speak out, to discuss things, to bring out the inner voice that they have. Because when I started my career, we never had such platforms. We never had these opportunities. We had to rely on books. Maybe conferences were there, but that much exposure was not there that we could also go and participate in a conference. Even if we could, it was expensive and out of reach. But now things are affordable, and especially in the pandemic situation, with things going virtual, I think a lot of communities have been hosting these conferences virtually at a very reasonable price. So people who are actually interested in learning can invest and focus on that. And that's one aspect of it. The other aspect of it is community learning. You're absolutely right. When you have a pool of people sitting together talking about things, you get to hear different ideas, and suddenly you realize, oh my God, I never thought about it. That is a brilliant idea. Okay, and that may come from a person who's talking about a domain which is entirely different from something that you're working on. But that idea will stay with you. That idea will trigger a thought in your mind. Right, Rahul, do you hear me? Can you hear me, Rahul?
Hello?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yes, now I can hear you. Yes. Just the last, I think, 5 second part. Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, so what I was saying is that, it is, the communities are so powerful that people get a lot of ideas from others. And that's what helps us, right? When somebody else says that I've done this, he may be doing it in a different domain, but it may still be applicable for us and helpful to us.
Yes.
So it is important that we, get involved, get it, active, participate more actively, ask more questions, share our thoughts. And with TTC, the fun part is that nobody's out there judging you, because everybody has a perspective, and we respect everybody's perspective. That's as simple as that. You want to share your thoughts, you share. Nobody will say, hey, you are wrong, or this is not right, or this is not the way. I mean, it may have worked for you. That is why you are sharing, right? Something may be working for you. So it's a perspective that you have based on your experiences. Okay, we will try and see if we can learn from that. It's as simple as that. And moreover, even if there are disagreements, like I was talking to Naveen yesterday, and I was telling him that disagreements help us learn. Disagreements help us get better. So the community is there for all of you, and I think that's enough bragging about our community. Asking people to come and join TTC. So
yes, but I mean, TTC is doing awesome thing, and I think I see TTC as a natural part of the culture I come in from, because from the culture, coming from India and from the rich cultural and background, I feel like this concept of communities and open learning and sharing knowledge, collaborating, this comes very naturally. I mean, if you see all this mythological text and everything, there was a lot of collaboration and there was a lot of passing of knowledge through which it came to us. Had it been some kind of restricted knowledge which people would have kept till themselves, I think we would have never got all this wonderful amount of knowledge which we have and which we all are proud of today. So I think to make something great, we should be part of these communities.
Right, right. You make a very good point, Rahul. And talking about cultures, if you come here in the Netherlands and you talk to people, they will tell you that Indians are very diplomatic. They say yes for everything. They accept what is told to them, and which is kind of true. That we, out of respect, we sort of tend to not oppose people or contradict something. We say yes because we are like, okay, we have to respect the other person's opinion. That's what we are told. The moment you put a question against it, or you raise a clarification, people see it differently. So there are a lot of times people get offended, saying, hey, how did you even think of questioning me? Okay, but what we have to understand is that it's important that you express your opinion as well. You give importance to the other person's opinion, but it is important to express your own opinion, and that is something which which is done very well here, at least in this part of the world. The people in the Netherlands, they are very straightforward. They talk about things the way they are. They like calling a spade a spade. They will say, okay, this is the problem, and 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 that's something that is a good learning for us. So when I came here first, I was also from that thought process, okay, should I say or not? But now, after living here for 4 years, a lot of people have told me I am more Dutch than them, which is a compliment for me, because I am more straightforward. I can express things better. I feel more confident, and I think that's something that all of us will help, and especially if you're a tester, it becomes very important to express. Otherwise, developers will bulldoze you. So for a tester, it's very important to be expressive, and you were dead right about the art of projection. We may conceive great ideas, we may conceive great test ideas, test concepts, but if until unless we project them well, I think the cycle is not complete. So thank you for bringing that perspective. I really appreciate that. Okay. So talking a little more about it, now I want to ask you something really fun. Okay. Something that I have seen you do a lot is use a lot of GIFs in the conversation. So please tell me, do you have a repository of GIFs for every context? I mean, especially ones from the movie Hera Fairy or from cricket.
Okay, so this is one question which a lot of people ask me in the personal sphere also, as well as in the professional sphere also, that do I have some kind of a GIF master or GIF database or something? But I don't have any such thing. All I do is Google up for the right scenarios, and practically I have been using GIFs in my communication from last 1 and 2 years. So over the years, I have found them a more of a relaxing mode of communication, which eventually lowers down maybe sometimes and brings things on a lighter perspective, and conveying the message also at a lighter and a funnier note. So that's, I think, something very important for effective and healthy communication. So that's why I use a lot of GIFs.
You mentioned you use them professionally. So do you send GIFs to your managers also?
Yeah, I use GIFs in my demos, in my presentations, which I give to my managers, customers, and all. And it helps me to lightening the mood, because if we keep on doing I feel that if we everybody wants to come and see something interesting and see something exciting and all. And if we talk about technology and things for a continuous 1 hour or something, then it may get monotonous. And I try to periodically lighten things up at some intervals through these GIFs and creative images and all those things. So that's the intention behind putting them.
I want to learn this art from you. How do you bring in that the context specific GIF? I mean, you are really good with it. I mean, and I'm sure that at least people who are watching you do that, at least the people in the TTC community, they will vouch for it because we see a lot of it coming from you. And every time you've got a different one, and it is always specific to that context. So I was thinking, hey, this guy must be having some kind of a repository. It's better that I ask him when I get an interview with him. I should ask. So yeah, that's pretty cool, man. That's a really good way of communicating, making the
Yes.
conversation lighter. Uh, so talking a little more about light conversations, I've also seen you use certain phrases, certain uh, thoughts from the mythological sphere, just
Yes.
to light things up, and you will give context, saying, okay, this was in this particular text. Again, the same question: do you have a repository somewhere?
No, no, no. It's not a repository, but this is a famous quote by Winston Churchill that how back you can see, how farther you can visualize. I mean, the more back in the history you can look up, and you can see everything in the future, because everything has happened. I mean, we may be in an illusion that okay, we are the first person who is facing such kind of situation or in such kind of scenario, but everything has practically happened. And mythology actually gives me some like a very good stories and based on the situations and incidents, and with some very nice messages also. So that's the reason why I use the mythological context and all. But no such database as of now. I
No,
would
no,
love to make a database on that.
you should probably create a
Yes.
database, maybe. But then that tells me that you are well learned, you are well researched, which is always a good thing. It is always good, and especially it keeps you rooted to your culture. And if you
Yes.
know the mythological aspect of it or the spiritual aspect of it, it is good. And especially in an environment like India, where the culture is so diverse, and so there is
Yes.
so much to look forward to. There is so much to
Yes.
learn. Every person has a story to tell. Every person follows a faith which may be different than yours. So you would
Yes.
want to learn, what they
Yes.
believe and what they do and how they
Yes.
do it and why they do it, and then you go back into their history, learn it. It is
Yes.
fascinating. I find it very fascinating. I find it, it is something that brings us together, brings us closer. It's something
Yes.
like, if I can relate that to the concept of testing. Uh, if you know coding, okay, if you know coding concepts and coding and things like that, it makes your life easy as a tester, because you can talk to the developer in that language. You can
Yes.
talk to the architects in that language. Similarly,
Yes.
if you know somebody else's culture, it makes it easier for you to collaborate, communicate with them in the society. So there is a strong, if I may say, analogy that I can draw from that. And
Yes.
that's why I think, as testers, if we are trying to upskill, don't upskill because you're being told to do so.
Yes.
Upskill because it will help you. Upskill in terms of, okay, if you don't like coding, fine. Find some domain expertise to learn from. Learn more about the products that you're working on. Learn more about the specific type of testing that you're focused on. For example, somebody may just be a UI tester. Do you know that there are people who are requiring or who are calling for UI testing specialists? It can be a specialization. How many of us
Yes.
realize that? You know,
Yes.
if you are a UI tester, be the best UI tester. That everybody
Yes.
calls you a specialist, everybody looks at you for advice. Similarly, if you are doing something like accessibility testing is, in my opinion, a less discussed field in the
Yes.
community. So there are accessibility testing experts.
Yes.
That's a very good thing to do. So from a career perspective, I think that's a very good point.
Yes.
And thank you, Rahul, for opening my mind up to it, so that I can relate and I can bring this to the context of the conversation.
Yes.
Uh, so thank you for that. Now, finally, before I let you go, as I ask all my guests, I will ask you the same question. What does
Okay.
Rahul do when he is not testing?
When Rahul is not testing, Rahul is pretty much involved into the mythology, into history, into documentaries, into striking interesting discussions with friends, relatives, family members, and sometimes being a devil advocate, getting to know different perspective, learning from perspective. I am a communicator kind of a person. If you want me to like if I have to feel miserable, the only way I can be miserable is I am alone and nobody to talk to, and I don't even have a phone to communicate. Because I practically love interacting, I practically love exploring things and then sharing them and then talking and then maybe discussing on those ideas and all those parts. And I had prepared one part which I wanted to share with you, and something like which out of my curiosity I got to know, and I would love to share that, and that even would give you a dimension that how small I just got this access. Okay, so that would just give an view that how small things are so much related, and what's the beauty associated with that. So
Yeah,
I'll
please
just
go
share
ahead.
my screen.
Please-
Yes.
please
So,
go ahead and share.
before I share that, I wanted to ask this question to you, that what's the significance of a Fibonacci series? I mean, because we practically learn it in our college, even in our exams, and even till today, I see it's one of the most relevant question for interviews also, that write this code via recursion or via this. So what's the significance of Fibonacci, if you want to add?
For me, Fibonacci series is what I use, especially with regards to estimations in Agile.
Yes.
So the entire sizing is done based on the series, and of course there are different ways of doing it. But one of my favorite things to do is that one. Apart from that, yes, in school, in college, when we were learning to code and things like that, write algorithms and things. So they would ask us this question, okay, right? Different ways of generating a Fibonacci series. But yeah, in the current practical day-to-day use, that is where I sort of use it the most. So that's where I find very significant. I would like to hear your perspective.
Yes, so today, I'd like to share something which I explored, and I felt it really amazing. So I'll just share my screen. Just let me know if you can see it.
Yes.
Okay. So in the Fibonacci series, I mean, for all it's basically a series where the next number is always the sum of the previous two numbers. So basically 0 plus 1 is 1, and 1 plus 2 is 3, and 2 plus 3 is 5, and 3 plus 5 is 8, and so on and on. And you said that you are using it for your project estimation. I mean, in the Scrum you use it for planning and estimation and estimating out the stories. That's one use case of Fibonacci. But then there is another golden use case of the Fibonacci, that is the golden ratio. So essentially, golden ratio is if you'll see, let me just yes. So if you see, it's essentially formula, a division formula, which comes out from the Fibonacci series, and it's dividing the next number to the previous number in the Fibonacci series. And this series has this awesome thing that whenever you divide a next number to the previous, the result comes out as 1.6180 and so on. And this number is constant. This number is constant, 8 by 5 or 5 by 3 and 13 by 8 and so on. So this number is constant. Now this is a golden ratio, and then I told you about Fibonacci series, and if we plot it into some kind of a graph, which is taught during the engineering days, then you have this kind of a spiral, that is a Fibonacci spiral or a golden spiral and all. Then if you see, then there are golden ratio grids also available. So this is the grid basically used for this creating this spiral, this spiral. Now why this is so useful? Where is this used? So when I was like doing this like curious knowledge hunting, I found that the entire architecture, the entire seven wonders of our ancient world as well as of the present world, including Taj Mahal, everything has this golden ratio and Fibonacci concept inside that, and they used it into their architecture, and everywhere this is present. And some claim that this is like a recent study and about the Fibonacci and all this golden ratio. But then like I got more fascinated when I got to know about its relevance into the Hindu or the Indian uh, religious context. That like for example, all these Jyotirlings that we have in India, they are all into this Fibonacci spiral and appropriately placed and appropriately patterned. So this gives the context that this is knowledge which was there in the past, and now we are again rediscovering that. Then there are like maybe if I'll show you then in logo. So most of the big companies, I mean, they have their logos in this Fibonacci, in this golden ratio, having this golden ratio. For example, National Geographic or any, I mean, Google, Pepsi, Apple, and all, I mean, car companies and all. So this is even like adopted there also. And then I was visualizing like, is it available in the software also? I mean, for the software design also. And I found that even like companies design their web pages and applications to make it more appealing and more stable to the users using this. So, I mean, small things can lead you to larger possibilities. And I always feel that one should always be keep looking and be curious. And I think things will naturally start coming to you. And then like there are thousands of the use cases of this, but I mean, how interdisciplinary knowledge can help you, I mean, we never know, and we generally neglect that. But I mean, this is something awesome I wanted to share, which was really close to me also.
I think this is extremely informative. I think this is something that we all can learn from. I find it really fascinating.
Yes.
I did not know, honestly. I knew about the golden ratio with respect to the Jyotirlings. That much I knew, but I never knew about the seven wonders of the world and the logos being a part of that. I knew about the websites though, but the logos that I have discovered as well, that's a very interesting thing. So there are a lot of things that I'm going to pay some attention to, probably dig a little deeper into these things.
Yes.
Thank you for enlightening me, and I'm sure this will be useful for a lot of people. Excellent. Yeah, you're saying something.
No, I wanted to say that this is also natural part of us, because our DNA is also into golden ratio. The length and width of the DNA which we have, that is also into the golden ratio. So we are everywhere surrounded by this fact. We never recognized, but like if we closely observe, like we have a lot to learn from things around us, and I mean, lot to gain. So that's a perspective I wanted to share.
Awesome. Thank you so much for sharing that, Rahul. And I can see that when Rahul is not testing, he is discovering wonderful things. So keep that up. Excellent knowledge sharing. I am so happy to have spoken to you today. We had to do this in two parts because of the technical issues that we had. I hope this time we don't have to do a part 3, hopefully. but even if we have to do, I don't mind, because I'll obviously learn something. So that is.
I equally learn from you, Brijesh. I mean, and your talks are equally enriching and enlightening for me. I think I should give you this credit on this platform, that a lot of my knowledge has been corrected or has been like put into the right direction because of the efforts that you put in and the things that you do it on the social media or maybe in the community and maybe sponsoring. So there are a lot of great things that you do, and I think like we all respect and salute you for that. So that's something awesome.
Well, Rahul, that is indeed very humbling. I'm thankful to you for that. I'm glad that I'm able to make a difference. But then, the learning is always mutual. I learn from all of you. I learn from every member of the community. I think everybody has got a unique, way of thinking about testing, about life, has a unique story to tell. So there is obviously something to learn from everyone. So that's what I firmly believe in. Thank you so much for your time on this Sunday. I'll
Thank
see
you,
you
Brijesh,
around.
for having me.
I'll see you around on TTC, and maybe we should probably get together. I mean, I am seriously starting to think about doing chapter 2, because with a lot of you guys, all those who have interviewed you, and there is a long lineup now. I think we have slots booked till the end of October already, with people lined up for the interviews. But then I'm starting to think about a chapter 2 with a lot of you guys, because you guys have brought in so much perspective, have opened up my mind so much, that I want to talk to you guys again. So I'll find a slot. We'll
Thank you.
probably do this in a different format, maybe get more people,
Yes.
get more. So I'm getting some ideas. I'll start putting them down. Let's see how that
Yes.
goes. Yeah.
We'll connect again. Yes. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Enjoy the rest of your Sunday.
Thank you, Brijesh.
See you. Bye bye.
See you. Bye.